Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I know it's been a while since we've made a video, but today we have a banger for you. I will be making more videos like this in the near future. And I just saw this interview last night with Jonathan Ross, the founder and owner of Groq. Not Elon Musk's GROK, but GROQ. They make inference chips, from what I understand. And Nvidia, I believe, just bought them for $25 billion. And so he did this interview, it looks like 2 months ago, with 20 VC. And this is a great interview. Top 10 interviews that I've seen all year. Definitely go check out this interview. Again, it's on the YouTube channel 20 VC. And Jonathan Ross just gives so many key insights to what's going on with AI, chips, the different advantages that these different companies have. And he just shows a very unique bullishness to the AI industry. And I just had this great clip in here where not only does it apply to AI and those businesses, but as well to any business. He talks about margin and how to think about margin as a business. And I think that it was just very insightful and worth reiterating what he says in this interview. So first, we're going to go ahead and play the interview, and then let's talk about it.
Well, you do have to have profitability in the end, or at least break even, right? To be an ongoing concern. At some point, you can't just keep raising money. Even Amazon had to start making some money. But the real reason why you need higher margins is volatility. Because if you have a razor thin margin and the market moves, you may not be able to raise more money, you may not be able to get a loan. And so what a margin does is it gives you stability and staying power in the market. On the other hand, what it does is it also gives competition the ability to enter, right? Your margin is my opportunity. And so what you're trading is stability for a competitive moat. That's the decision that you have to make.
How do you think about margin internally today?
I think you want the ability to have margin, and you want to give it to your customers, and you want to give them an advantage. And if you have the ability to take that margin when it's needed, then you're in a great position. So I remember talking to so we hired this amazing CFO recently, but I remember talking to a previous candidate. And when we were talking about margin, they said that we should price so that our supply met our demand. In other words, they wanted to increase the price in order for the demand to come down.
Makes sense.
Does it?
Economic sense, yeah.
Economic sense.
Logically and rationally, yes.
But then logically, why not use up your brand equity? Why not use like the trust that your customers have to sell them things that aren't good? Brand value, brand equity has value. You want to keep your brand equity as high as possible because trust pays interest. And similarly, you want to keep your margins low enough that you're building up this sort of equity value with your customers where they know that you are giving them a good deal. When you charge a high margin, you are at odds with your customer. And you want to do everything that you possibly can to align with your customer. I want my margin to be as low as I possibly can make it while keeping my business stable. And I'm going to make my cash flow by increasing the volume. And one of the things that I love about the compute business is that the need for compute is insatiable. It's Jevons paradox. If we produce 10x the compute, we will have 10x the sales. That's just the way it works. As long as we keep bringing the cost down, people are going to buy more. And so I want to keep bringing that cost down. I want to keep increasing the volume, and I want to keep selling more for less so that people get more value out of their business and they buy more, and that cycle continues.
An amazing bit where he pretty much gives you the argument why great businesses will sacrifice margin today to increase TAM, to increase trust with the customer, to increase brand equity, brand value. Because at the end of the day, the reason people use a business is to solve a problem they have. Now, if it's a really, really hard problem, or if you're the only solution to this problem, then you as a business have the opportunity to charge a crazy margin. That doesn't mean that you necessarily should always charge that crazy margin, because when you charge a higher and higher margin, it's like he said, you are at odds with your customer. And also, the higher margin you charge, the greater chance you're going to invite competition, because your competition sees that margin and they say, oh, we can make that money. Let's go figure out how to do that. So this is the classic problem you see with private equity. And when they go in and they buy a well-known brand, well-known company that the masses use. So, for example, Pollo Tropical. They used to have this chicken that was so delicious. You used to get these nice, fat, juicy chickens. And then they got bought out by private equity. And now you get this nice, tiny little piece of chicken. They took away all the condiments and everything. They used to be out on the side. Now you have to go up to the person and ask them for it. And so what private equity does to a business is they see a business that the founder usually blew up. It becomes this huge success either in a region or across the whole country. And then private equity comes in with a nice fat check and buys the business from the owner. And the owner understood what this guy here, Jonathan Ross, is saying. Because they understood, you know what? I'm not going to charge this crazy price. I know I'm going to make a little bit of money if I charge this much for my chicken, and I'm going to give them this nice big piece of chicken. Private equity comes in and says, you know what? We're going to raise the prices a little bit, and we're going to make the chicken a little bit smaller. So you are literally at odds with the customer, and you see this happening again and again, and then private equity wonders why the business isn't growing like it was before. Well, maybe it's just as profitable or actually more profitable, but the volume you're doing, the number of transactions you're doing might actually be going down because people aren't going to Pollo Tropical anymore because it's not the same pollo that they knew. So you are at odds with your customer when you have such high margins. So he argues here to keep your margins low enough to keep your business operating and sustainable, and you will get that cash flow will come from the volume, the increased TAM that you are creating. So I just thought this was a fascinating little clip and something to think about when you're looking at businesses to invest in and looking at different stocks and thinking about the margin. And look at the margin of a business and ask yourself, why does this business have a high margin, or why does this business have a low margin? But anyways, I just thought I should share this interview with you guys and my 2 cents on it. And I think this Jonathan Ross guy he knows his stuff. He knows his stuff. I see why Jensen poached him to Nvidia. I think, after watching this interview and hearing that he pretty much got bought out by Nvidia, that makes me even more bullish on Nvidia. And he does talk about Nvidia being a $10 trillion company and not financial advice. Do your own research, buy your own stocks, take your own wins, take your own losses. But I just thought I should make this video with you guys, and I hope you have a great day. Happy New Year. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.